Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Saturday, July 9th, 2022. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. Now, if you're looking for my MLB best bets, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Of course, I'm always running my $15 MLB best bet, so you can check that out at Pick Dawgz Premium. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Saturday, July 9th. First up, we see the Detroit Tigers taking on the Chicago White Sox. Garrett Hill and Johnny Cueto are your projected starters. Now, Garrett Hill, only 6 innings under his belt in the major leagues, but a very successful start for him against the Guardians. He went 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned run, and only 1 walk allowed with 3 strikeouts. Now, I'd like to see the strikeout number rise a bit as he continues, but he had double-digit strikeout per 9 ratings in the minor leagues, and he also faced a Guardians lineup there that does a really good job at limiting strikeouts as a team against righties and lefties, so I'm not really concerned with that. I think going forward, Hill will be a solid member of a Tigers rotation that really could use him, a rotation that's been injured all season long. Casey Mize, Matt Manning, you name it, they've had a lot of injuries in that starting rotation. Now, on the other side, Johnny Cueto, I thought he was really lucky to only give up 2 earned runs last time out against the Twins. He did not have his best stuff. He had 5 base hits allowed, 5 walks allowed. He gave up a home run as well. The Twins didn't do a lot of damage with runners in scoring position, but Johnny Cueto, a 3.3 ERA. He's got a 4.24 xFIP and a 4.52 expected ERA. So those are some numbers that you'd look to his ERA to rise a bit as he continues. The regression will certainly be something to think about with Cueto's game. And when you look at the Detroit Tigers, they are improving their game offensively against right-handed pitching. They're really just playing overall better baseball in general, and their bullpen has been solid all season long. To me, Johnny Cueto just can't be this big of a favorite in this spot. I'm going to take the Detroit Tigers here, getting the 1.5 runs here. I think there's some value. Could be a 1-run game. I think it's going to be a pretty low-scoring game to begin with, so give me the 1.5 runs with the Tigers. Our next matchup, we see the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Kyle Gibson and Dakota Hudson are your projected starters. Now, these are 2 starting pitchers that I really don't have a lot of faith in right now. When you look at Kyle Gibson, he just faced the St. Louis Cardinals lineup and didn't fare too well at all. He went 4 innings, 7 hits, 6 earned runs, 4 home runs allowed in that one. And he's really struggled as of late in his last 6 2/3 innings, giving up 11 earned runs, at least 3 earned runs allowed in 4 of his last 5 outings. So it is tough to back him right now, but when you look at Dakota Hudson, the same can be said about him. He is also really struggling. He's given up at least 3 earned runs in 4 of his last 5, with giving up 6 earned to the Reds, 5 earned to the Brewers, 6 earned to the Braves. And the Philadelphia Phillies lineup, I trust a little bit more right now, especially against right-handed pitching. I also trust the Phillies bullpen a little bit more right now than the Cardinals as well. So even though I don't think either of these starting pitchers are worth to back, I think the Phillies have the better lineup and the better bullpen. And at this kind of price, I think it's worth taking a shot with Philadelphia. Not my favorite game on the board, but I'm going to take the Phillies here on the money line. Next up, we see the Los Angeles Angels taking on the Baltimore Orioles. Now, we have a pitching matchup of Patrick Sandoval and Dean Kremer here. Now, Patrick Sandoval was a guy that I was watching to regress as the season continued. His xFIP was pretty high and still is pretty high. And when you look at what he did last time out, there's no surprise there. He really struggled against the Houston Astros, a lineup that was hitting left-handed pitching very, very well. You look at his final line in that game, 5 innings, 8 hits, 5 earned runs, a homer. Now, you're facing a Baltimore Orioles lineup here that has also hit lefties very, very well in the last 30 days, especially when you look at team OPS and isolated power. The Orioles are both in the top 10 at 6th in team OPS and 5th in isolated power, so right around the top 5 in both statistics. I think they get to Sandoval here. However, I'm not too confident in Dean Kremer's game going forward. He's managed to hold a sub-3 ERA right now, but the xFIP, again, is pretty high, above 4 right now. The Los Angeles Angels certainly have struggled offensively, but they've done a little bit better against righties than they have lefties, especially in the power department. I can see the top of the lineup hitting a few home runs on Kremer here. I'm going to take the over in this spot. I think both teams can get on the board early and often. I think with the Angels bullpen struggling the way it has, we could see some late offense as well. So give me the over in the Angels-Orioles. Next up, we see the Minnesota Twins taking on the Texas Rangers. Devin Smeltzer and Martin Perez are your starters. Now, Martin Perez has not pitched necessarily very well as of late. When you look at his last outing against the New York Mets, he gave up 2 home runs, 3 earned runs. The previous start to the Royals, 4 earned runs. A couple starts back against the White Sox, gave up 6 earned runs. However, In all 5 of his last 5 outings, despite him pitching very well in some spots and struggling in others, the Rangers have won all 5 of those games, and the offense has really showed up in the spots that Perez has started. They've scored 11 runs, 3 runs, 7, 10, 7. Now, it's totally independent to each game that they're playing. Obviously, it's a different matchup, a different pitcher every time. However, I do like the Rangers' offense in this particular matchup, going up against the lefty and Devin Smeltzer. We've seen the Rangers really hit left-handed pitching very well all season, but especially in the last 30 days. They're number 3 in isolated power against lefties in the last 30 days, top 10 in team OPS as well. So I like their matchup here against Smeltzer. I think they get on the board early, and Martin Perez doesn't have to be fantastic, but he's facing a Twins lineup that just hasn't been the same against lefties as they have been against righties. And I think the reason the Rangers are the favorites, I think it makes sense. I'm going to take the Texas Rangers here on the money line. Next up, we see the Houston Astros taking on the Oakland Athletics. Now, for the second straight day, unfortunately, we're not going to have an official lineup for this game as the Athletics have not announced a starter. We should see Framber Valdez going for the Astros, and that's enough for me to lean towards the Astros here on the run line. The Athletics have struggled against lefties this season, especially in the last month or so. Team OPS and isolated power near the bottom of the league. And Framber Valdez, last time out, he gave up 5 walks, he gave up a home run to the Angels, but 13 strikeouts, something we're not used to seeing from Valdez. He's more of a pitch-to-contact guy, but if he's missing bats like that, I think he's going to have a ton of success going forward. He's been one of the sharpest lefties in the league this year, and with the A's struggles offensively against left-handers, I think Valdez pitches well. We know this Astros lineup has done a lot of damage this season. I'm going to take the Houston Astros here and lay the 1.5 runs. Next up, we see the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Kansas City Royals. Tristan McKenzie and Jonathan Heasley are your projected starters. Now, Tristan McKenzie had a really tough stretch of starts when he faced the Colorado Rockies on the road at Coors Field, a hitter-friendly ballpark. Then he faced the Minnesota Twins back-to-back starts. He really struggled in both of those. And then he faced the New York Yankees back at Progressive Field. He really impressed me in that start against the Yankees. It was a nice bounce-back start. 7 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts, no earned runs there. And I think against the Kansas City Royals lineup that just doesn't have the power numbers as the Twins and Yankees do, I think McKenzie will have another strong outing here, while I think his offense is going to back him up as well. Jonathan Heasley is a guy that I am looking to fade as we continue this season. His ERA just below 5. I think it'll be above 5 by the end of the year. When you look at his last outing, he was sharp against the Houston Astros, but you look at his previous outings, Texas Rangers, 7 earned runs. Los Angeles Angels, 4 earned runs in only 5 innings, 2 home runs allowed there. He's a guy that's not going to strike out a ton of guys, and that's where I worry the most with his game, as the Cleveland Guardians do a really good job at limiting strikeouts themselves to begin with. So they're going to be putting a lot of balls into play here, giving themselves good chances of getting on base, and I think the Guardians offense does enough here on Heasley and the Royals bullpen, a bullpen that has struggled all year, to get the win on the road here. I think the Guardians are favorites for a reason. I like McKenzie and the Guardians to win this one. Give me him on the money line. Next up, we see the Colorado Rockies taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. 2 lefties going at it here, Kyle Freeland and Madison Bumgarner. When you look at these 2 teams offensively in the last 30 days, in terms of WRC+, the Rockies are ranked 15th, the Diamondbacks are ranked 16th, so neck and neck there. Madison Bumgarner's a guy that, although he is struggling overall in his last 5 starts, the thing he's done the best is limiting home runs. He hasn't given up a single homer in his last 3 outings, and that goes against some pretty tough lineups in the Padres twice and the San Francisco Giants. So I do think Bumgarner is actually the better option here when compared to Kyle Freeland, a guy that's consistently giving up 3 to 4 earned runs per start, it seems. And, on the road here, I just can't really trust him. When you also look, I think the Diamondbacks have the slightly better bullpen, so I give the edge to them there. The lineups, I think, are pretty similar, so this is a game where you're splitting hairs, and I think that just shows up right in the money line price, as Arizona is just the slight favorite. I do think it makes sense. I'm going to take the Diamondbacks here on the money line. Next up, we see the Miami Marlins taking on the New York Mets. Braxton Garrett and Carlos Carrasco are your projected starters. Now, the books are not really worried about Carlos Carrasco, as the Mets are still huge favorites here, even though Carrasco has been pretty inconsistent as of late. That does tell me I do think Carrasco is going to have a pretty good outing here. The Marlins have struggled with runners in scoring position, even though they've been getting on base against righties. They just haven't been able to drive in those runs, and Jazz Chisholm being out of the lineup is a big part of that as well. When you look at Carrasco last time out, 5 2/3 innings, 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts. Exactly what the Mets and what Carrasco would look to do on the mound. While you look at Braxton Garrett on the other side, I also think he's a decent option for Miami. We know the Mets have struggled against left-handed pitching this season. Garrett's got a 4.25 ERA this season. He's coming off a really good start against the Nationals, 7 1/3, 1 earned run in that one. I think he can keep the Mets bats down a bit in this spot. I still like the Mets to win this game in the end, but I think this total is set pretty low for a reason. I like the under in the Marlins Mets. In our next game, we see the NL Central matchup between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Milwaukee Brewers. Now we're going to see Brandon Woodruff and Zach Thompson as your starters here. Now we just saw these two teams and these two pitchers pitch against each other back on July 3rd. It was a 2-0 victory for the Brewers on the road in that game. And I think the Brewers are big favorites here for a reason as well. I agree with the books making them big favorites. I like them on the run line here. You know, look at Brandon Woodruff. He struck out 8 batters in 6 innings against the Pirates, giving up no earned runs, obviously. Now, the Pirates are ranked second highest in the last 30 days, number 2, only behind the Los Angeles Angels in strikeout percentage as a team against righties, 26.2%. So they strike out a ton. And when you have a power pitcher like Woodruff, you do run the risk of not really getting much going at all offensively. We saw that last time out. When you look at the Brewers offensively, they've been a lot better against righties than lefties. They've also been a very powerful lineup against righties. And Zach Thompson has given up at least 2 home runs in 3 of his last 5 outings and at least 1 homer in 4 of his last 5. I think the Brewers hit a couple homers on him in this spot. I think Woodruff pitches well. I think the Brewers had a few runs on the Pirates bullpen also. So give me the Milwaukee Brewers here on the run line. Next up, we see the Tampa Bay Rays taking on the Cincinnati Reds. This is going to be on Fox Sports 1. Drew Rasmussen and Hunter Green are your starters. You know, this is a tough one for me. Not my favorite game just because of value. I think the Rays are going to win this game, so I am going to take them on the money line, but I just don't love the price that we're going to have to lay here. I think the biggest reason why the Rays are the big favorites is Hunter Green has really struggled this season with the home run ball. That's why his ERA is above 6. You can see him give up 2 homers last time out against the Mets. And it's also the Reds bullpen has really, really struggled. They're actually now dead last, ranked 30th in projected WAR out of all the bullpens in the league right now. So even though their offense here and there has been solid, especially against lefties, they're not facing a lefty here, and I can't trust Hunter Green in the bullpen right now. Give me the Tampa Bay Rays here on the money line. Next up, we see the Washington Nationals taking on the Atlanta Braves. Patrick Corbin and Kyle Wright are your starters. To me, when I saw this pitching matchup, I thought offense, offense, offense. I'm going to take the over here. You look at Patrick Corbin, he is a lefty, and the Atlanta Braves have just crushed left-handed pitching as of late. You know, Patrick Corbin, he's coming off one of his best starts of the season, but who is that against? The Miami Marlins, one of the worst lineups in baseball against lefties. That is not the Atlanta Braves. I think the Atlanta Braves get to Corbin early and often. And on the other side, Kyle Wright is a guy that I am a little bit worried about. I don't think he's pitching nearly as well as he was at the beginning of the season. You look at the strikeout numbers, that's really a big tell for me. Against the Giants, he went 5 1/3 innings, only getting 4 strikeouts. Against the Phillies, 7 innings, 4 strikeouts. Against the Cardinals, 4 innings, 2 strikeouts. So the strikeout numbers really hitting a little bit of a downstretch here. The walks are starting to go up a little bit. The home run ball is also going up. The base hits as well. So he's putting a lot of runners on base, not missing as many bats. And the Washington Nationals, they are a very good lineup in terms of limiting strikeouts themselves. They have a very powerful middle lineup with Soto, Cruz, and Bell. I think they can do enough damage here against Kyle Wright to get this game over the total. I could see something in the 7-3, 7-4 range, but I think we see double digits in the run scoring department. Give me the over in the Braves Nationals. Next up, we see the New York Yankees taking on the Boston Red Sox. Now, we don't have an official lineup for this game as the Red Sox have not announced a starter yet. We should see Jordan Montgomery going for the Yankees. Now, this is going to be a national televised game on Fox. You'll either get this game or you'll get the Padres-Giants game. I'm going to have to take a lean here with the Yankees for now. We'll have to see who the Red Sox decide to go with. If they do go with the bullpen game, I don't really trust it against this Yankees lineup. And when you look at Jordan Montgomery, he's been very consistent this season, coming off another solid start for the Yankees. The Red Sox team OPS against lefties has been pretty good in the last 30 days, but the isolated power numbers is what scares me a bit. They're ranked 20th in the last 30 days against those left-handed pitchers. And it's 317 plate appearances, too, so a solid sample. I'm going to trust Jordan Montgomery and the Yankees bats and bullpen a little bit more here in Fenway. Give me the Yankees on the money line. Next up, we see the San Francisco Giants taking on the San Diego Padres. We have a really good pitching matchup on our hands here. Carlos Rodon and Yu Darvish. Now, this total is set at 6.5 for this game, and I actually think there's a little bit of value on the under. There's not a lot of wiggle room here, but when you look at both of these teams' offenses, you look at how well these starting pitchers have done this year, I think we see a very low-scoring game. I like the under. Carlos Rodon, a left-handed starter. The Padres have not really done much against lefties offensively as of late. Isolated power, they're ranked 26th in the last 30 days. Team OPS, they're also ranked near the bottom, ranked 21st. So not doing much against lefties. Rodon, I think he has a bounce-back start here. On the other side, Yu Darvish facing the Giants. The Giants' offense has really struggled against lefties, against righties. They're striking out a ton. They're not scoring runs, and that's why they've really been on a downswing right now, losing a ton of games as of late. I just can't trust this Giants lineup right now. Even though Yu Darvish is not my favorite starter to back, I do think he's a tad overrated in terms of his public perception. I think he's good enough here, and I'm going to take the under in this Giants-Padres matchup. Next up, we see the Chicago Cubs taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Justin Steele and Clayton Kershaw are your starters for now. Now, we don't have an official line for this game, so we could see a pitching change. But for now, we see two lefties going at it. And, you know, it's not always popular to go against the Dodgers, but I do think there's some value with the underdog here, at least on the run line. I really like what I'm seeing from Justin Steele. I watched his last start against the Brewers. He pitched very, very well. It was disappointing for him not to get the win in that game. 6 2/3 innings, 1 earned run, 9 strikeouts against the Brewers there. That was a 5-2 extra innings loss to the Brewers, but Steele pitched very, very well. Now it makes it back-to-back really strong starts, and he's facing a Dodgers lineup that has been good and against left-handed pitching, but not great, especially in the last 30 days. They're ranked 19th in team OPS, which isn't very good at all. 19th in isolated power as well. So, I think Steele can pitch well enough here to keep his Cubs in this game. And Clayton Kershaw, he's been pitching also very, very well for the Dodgers, so I lean towards the under automatically. But look at the last 5 starts he's pitched in. Loss, loss, win, loss, loss. So the Dodgers are just not helping him in the run-scoring department. He last time out faced Mackenzie Gore, another left-handed pitcher against the Padres, in a 4-2 Dodgers loss. Kershaw didn't even give up run in that game. But, you look at this Cubs team. They're solid against left-handed pitching. And we saw them compete in Game 1 of this series, even though they didn't get the full run line cover. We took the +2.5, so they covered that one. But I still think in this spot, the Cubs offense does enough here to keep this game close. Give me the Chicago Cubs here, +1.5. Next up, our final game of the night, we see the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Seattle Mariners. A really nice pitching matchup here as well. Alek Manoah and Robbie Ray, both of these teams are aces right now. Now, you look at the Blue Jays, they are the slight favorites here, but I actually think the wrong team is favored. When you look at how these teams have played as of late, the Mariners, one of the hotter teams in baseball. Toronto, one of the colder teams, especially on the road. Blue Jays are under 500 right now on the road, and the Mariners just above 500 at home. Robbie Ray is pitching very, very well, limiting home runs, striking out batters, just like we saw from him last year when he won the Cy Young. And the Toronto Blue Jays haven't been very, very good against lefties as of late. When you look at WRC+, ranked 18th, so outside the top 15 right now against those left-handed pitchers. Robbie Ray, in the last 4 starts that he's had, the Mariners have won all 4 of those games. Alek Manoah, also on the other side, he's starting to get hit a little bit. When you look at his last start, 2 home runs against the Oakland Athletics, 4 total earned runs, and a 5-1 Blue Jays loss. The Blue Jays lost the previous start to that one as well, where he went 7 innings, 6 hits, 3 total runs. So not too bad, but in the end, the Blue Jays still took the loss. I think the Mariners are the better team right now. Give me the Seattle Mariners here on the money line. And that's it. Those are the games for Saturday, July 9th. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.